Good afternoon. I'll be the moderator today, so I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm László, Józsa. I'm a Hungarian producer, and by necessity, I'm actually a distributor as well, sometimes with our own films. And I'm very excited to introduce our panel today. We have guests from every sort of, or many sorts of the distribution platform, from schools to festivals to distributors. So on my right is Margje with the sweet spot dogs, and it's a distribution company headquartered in Switzerland, but you cover the whole world. Also, in a different order, I'm written on as Johanna, if I say the name right. And another is the film school name is Django Film School. Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy I said this. And Christina Dohofer from Crossing Europe Film Festival, she's the director there. And the first thing I'm going to ask you is just to introduce yourselves and the company or the institution where you're from.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for having us once again. And my name is Christine Dollhofer. I'm from Austria. I'm running a European film festival. It's called Crossing Europe. There are some flyers on the table. And it started in 2004. I was thinking about where is the gap between a worldwide cinema, which is represented at the Biennale Film Festival in Vienna, and the National Film Festival Diagonale in Graz, which I was, by the way, running before, from mid of 90s until 2003. So in 2004 I started this in-between European-focused film festival dealing with artistic films from all over Europe, dealing with European society today, creative documentaries and fiction films, approximately 160 films, several competition sections, and that's where I also met Oksana, the director of this festival. We met on another festival in Jihlava. I was very impressed by her pitch of the festival, and I invited her to be a member of the documentary jury, and that's why I'm now here in Budapest. And I would like also to thank the festival for organizing this wonderful festival, and I hope there will be a successful future of this festival, because in uncertain times you never know what's happening. Especially as I know that the university is moving now to Vienna, and the festival is very connected to the Central European University. So it was very long. So the festival is really focused on filmmakers. It's an auteur film festival. We have approximately 700 accredited people from film industry, press, curators, filmmakers, and approximately 120 directors are present to really present their films in person and be in contact with audience and I'm also working for San Sebastian, which is a festival in Spain. I'm in charge of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland as a program delegate, which is very handy because I can see a lot of films which can also be selected for Crossing Europe. And I have a search job which is maybe not so time-consuming, but also very important. I do acquisition consultants for an art house distributor in Austria. It's called Filmland. They do mainly art house mainstream, and unfortunately, beside Austrian documentaries, not so many international documentaries. So I think that's more or less all, and I hand over the mic to you. Johanna.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Is it not? Was there anyone working?
This wasn't.
Oh.
I hope
you may not.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so my name is Johanna Huth. I'm a Berlin-based filmmaker, and around 10 years ago I was looking for a job next to making films, because sometimes it takes time to wait for funding. And I met a woman in Berlin. She's also Berlin-based, but she is actually Anglo-Burmese from England. And she was looking for someone to do distribution for the films of a film school in Myanmar that she had founded. And so I started and have been doing it for 10 years and kind of got specialized in films from Myanmar. And the students are mainly making short documentary films. So I'm more specialized in documentary films and even in short films, and basically I distribute them worldwide. I bring them to festivals. I try to bring the students to the festivals so that they can get out of Myanmar and see the world, see other festivals, and get inspired by what other people in the world are doing. Maybe that's enough for a short introduction.
Yeah, we'll go into
we go into more detail, right? Yeah, okay.
Should we use the same one? Or?
No, it's good.
Understandable. Okay. So hello everyone, thank you for coming. I'm Bojana Maric. I'm coming from Serbia, but I represent a Swiss-based sales company called Sweetspodox. And maybe to be a bit more precise, we're a sales company, so it's not exactly the same as a distributor. But we do TV sales, festival distribution, theatrical or VOD, market education, also basically we try to cover everything. And the company is very young, though we are not that young anymore, but we started it like a year ago, the three of us, friends and colleagues. Before that, we used to also work together for a couple of years back in film sales, so it kind of came up spontaneously that we decided to start something by ourselves, because we share this same passion for creative documentaries. And we represent only feature docs. We have quite limited catalog because we have limited human resources, so we really want to engage ourselves with every single film properly. And so far we have 8 films from this year and 6 films from last year. And it's been an amazing experience for the three of us. We feel very lucky to be given a chance to be here, to meet people who share kind of same values when it comes to filmmaking. And I hope we can make some difference, and I hope it will be useful, the panel today, for all of us. Thank you.
So this panel is on new distribution strategies. So if we switch that, just right away, a few things. We won't have probably enough time to correct my mistake to say what's the difference between a distributor and a sales agent, but we might tap on to that. But just to give a background, why or in what way do you think the market is changing? It's a really hard question, and a lot of things were said. Hundreds and thousands of films are made. It's really hard to say. Every film, I think, has a different distribution platform, live distribution way that suits them. But what was the old system, and where are we changing now? If you can say a few words about that.
So in the old days, it was, of course, much easier because there were only a few television channels, there was no internet, there was no World Wide Web, no distribution network in the way that you need a lot of attention now. Because I think there are more channels and more platforms, they all need content. The problem now is how to get attention from filmmakers' side to find the right partner which is interested in your content. And this is the new challenge, I would say. And I think you need partners missing links in between people who connect and network and know, and which could be the perfect person you are looking for. So I give maybe some examples from Austria, what I know best, so that we have, for example, an institution called Sixpack Film, which was founded by filmmakers themselves. They were thinking, okay, we make great films, let's get together and build up an institution who is promoting and distributing, and also they also do sales for VOD, television, but mainly festival. There is a selection committee who is choosing the most interesting films, mainly creative documentaries, but also shorts. And so they are very well known internationally, especially by festivals. They have a good reputation because it's a selected portfolio or a selected lineup. And of course, it's very important to have a very strong national institution like the Austrian Film Commission, who is promoting the films worldwide. They have stands in the markets in Berlin, in Cannes, Toronto, and so on. So they are present as a physical institution who is promoting films, and they know, of course, all the world sales who are dealing with films, and they can connect producers with sales. So as we were talking here about documentaries, in Austria it's 50-50, mainly sort of 20 to 25 documentaries a year, fiction lengths for cinema, and 20 to 30 fiction films are produced, and all of them are released in Austria because there is kind of a law. It's funded by official institutions like the Austrian Film Institute. They have also to support theatrical release. So we can see all documentaries from Austria, but the market is very small, so there is maybe no space for international documentaries except blockbusters like, I don't know, American blockbusters, and some topics which are global, which are really dealing with global subjects. So unfortunately, not so many documentaries are released from neighbor countries. I mean, Bernadette, who is here, he won a lot of awards with her film A Woman Captured, but it was attending at a lot of festivals across Europe, which was nice, and she won the main award, but nevertheless there was no release, a regular theatrical release. But with all the other festivals picking up then the film, or some cinemas doing 1 or 2 screenings, if you count all this together, it's an alternative way to release films. About the changing market, and of course everybody's talking about Netflix, so David against Goliath, it's the big game now. But I think if there are so many niches and specialized initiatives, institutions, but the most important thing is to find your ambassador who can promote your film. For filmmakers who are not able to travel a lot, to attend a lot of markets, or to attend work in progress or pitching sessions, or just to get experience how it works internationally, for them it's very hard to find the right person. So it's, of course, national institutions can help to connect. So first of all, it doesn't matter if it's Hungary or if it's Serbia or if it's Switzerland, your first partner are the national institutions who have maybe more experience than you have. And secondly, I forgot to mention that also film schools. I mean, your school is very privileged to have a person who is promoting the production. So it's also film schools have one position, a person who is in charge for festivals, and he's doing nothing else than try to attract festivals, maybe TV commissioners or people who are doing acquisition to get attention to the films they produce. So it's amazing field. So it's just to give a number. So in Europe we have 1,700 feature-length films produced for cinema, and you can each year, fiction and documentary. Each year they are really produced for theatrical release. So 1,700, no country in the world can release theatrically all these titles. So it's, I think in Austria it's 700 titles a year they are released with the international market. So you can see that a lot of films have never the chance to be seen by an audience. Doesn't matter if it's online or if it's in cinema or television. So it's for these 1,000 other films, and actually these 700 films released, it's with American blockbusters and everything, you know, or with Asian films or non-national, non-European films.
We are maybe started talking about feature-length documentaries, but Joanna mentioned that you work in the film school with shorter formats. Is there a special way to reach the audience with different formats, or how do you handle the films that come out from the schools, from the students we make? Because as I understood, besides being a producer, you also work with the promotion, in a way, the distribution of the films made in the school.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what I do is I bring the films to international film festivals, and I also try to sell them, of course. And the thing is that it's not so easy to sell short films generally. it's not really happening. But like the sector, but this is really particular also for the films that the school is making, and also for Myanmar. I'm selling them a lot on the educational sector worldwide, because a lot of institutions, universities are interested in Myanmar and are interested in stories that are told by people from Myanmar, not people from the outside looking at them, but actually the people who live there. And the thing is that I didn't mention that in my introduction, that the school is like we have a small office in Berlin. And we have this office in Berlin because the director of the school, she is based in Berlin, and also because in order to get funding, because the students, they don't pay, of course, no one could pay for a film in the school there. And so we have to have a base in Europe in order to get European funding from all sorts of different funding bodies. Like we have a huge range of donors. We also had the media of the European Union, Creative Europe Media, it's called, right? They gave us a lot of funding to build up the school. And what did I want to say? I lost track. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know, I want to say something else. It will come back.
Yeah. So,
if I may just follow up to what Christine said, I mean, and also I agree, of course, that the market is constantly changing, and in a way, it's hard to predict, what's going to happen in the future. But we are like all learning how to swim in these new waters. But I think also it's very important that filmmakers and producers first that they know what they want for their film, So if you have a plan to release the film globally and make it available to larger audience, from the beginning, that definitely you should think about like the platforms from the start. But if you wish to start with the festivals and maybe then look for some broadcasters, that's kind of another route to take. So, and I mean, there's nothing wrong, good or bad with either of those. Just it's important for you to know, what you want to achieve with your film.
So what's an ideal film that you would find the perfect distribution route for? What are you looking for in festivals when you select, or when filmmakers send their films to you? what do you find distributable or?
Okay, so that's a $1 million question.
No, but there must be general. I know if you don't.
Question.
But in general terms.
For us, I would say there's no rule. So for us, it's important that we love the film and that it moves something, you know, within us. And basically, that's the only condition. Of course, what could help you greatly, that you have, in a way, an interesting topic, which is very hard today to have something like unique, or at least to treat a familiar topic in a different way, you know, for a different perspective. But about that, I think it's like the execution itself, so the way you are telling the story, and a very important aspect is the timing also. And then what Christine said is like finding the right partners, you know, to help you with the film further.
But what do you mean with timing? The right timing for a topic?
Yeah, yes. Okay. If you have some topic that is in a way accurate happening now, you know, that can be appealing to a lot of people because they are hearing about it on the news all the time, you know.
For example, I mean, as we all see a lot of films. If you see the 50,000 minor documentary, then it has to be something special because this how to say structural changes and new development in also ecological issues. It has to be something which is a unique storytelling, perspective. Yeah. And that's why there is no recipe for. I think if a film works, even if it's a common topic, I mean, coming of age is very popular. But I heard recently somebody of the sales said, please never ever pitch coming of age. Nobody will buy coming of age anymore. It's over, you know. But it depends, you know, it depends on the film itself. And also, as you said, the path the film is going. If a film is moving, if a film is working, it will travel. If you can have the best, you can have the best strategy when the film is not working, you know. And of course, there are films with an artistic approach. They are very slowly and not accessible for a global audience, but they get maybe other recognition in terms of outstanding visual language or a lot of prizes at prestigious festivals. So, or you have a film which is really a blockbuster. This American filmmaker, please help me. Michael Moore. Something like, you know, there are so many options. So it's and of course you need people, as you said, you need people, sales who really love what they are doing and what they are representing, or festivals who really are enthusiastic and want to encourage the audience with their enthusiasm to watch maybe not films like you can see in the daily menu, you know, in television or also in cinema, you know, something outside the box.
Yeah, maybe this is about the question that you had before, what changed. I think what we need, because we have so many films, and anybody can watch any film anywhere. It's not like we need the TV or we need to go to a cinema to see something. We can do it in our bed, basically. And so I think this is why it's really important for us and for the future that we have more curated programs. I think that's really what we need even more than we already have it, because there is so much. So I think this is something that we should all take in account for the future, that we have more of it, and that we also have that we have platforms where, and I really mean physical platforms, not only virtual ones, where we meet and talk. I think that's also one thing that's really important, because everybody yeah, is so much in their own bubble, and you only have your Facebook and your friends, and you only have this one opinion, and you never talk to someone who has a different opinion. And I think that's why film festivals are so important. Any curated programs are very, very important to talk to not only the people who have the same opinion, but to talk to people who have a different opinion. So I think this is something that's even more important today than before.
Actually, when I asked what are you looking for in a film, I thought you were going to say things like, I'm looking for films that end up at festivals so I can get the festival fee. I'm looking for a film that is interesting enough to be able to place it on a VOD platform so that many people watch it and you make money. After all, your company is made partially to distribute the film so that you get money for the filmmakers and yourself and get the word out there. So and it's a question to all of you. So when the film is selected to the festival, when you are picking films, when you're dealing with the students' film, is it in your mind how much is this a product that can be placed to cinema viewers in the festival, you can make money, or you can have the filmmakers, so isn't it at the very core of it?
I mean, the thing for me is that I try to bring it everywhere. I just try everything. For example, we had an airline who wanted to screen our films on their airplane, and I said okay. And so it's really different, but also I'm a bit in a different position than you two are with feature films, and especially with the films of the film school. That, for example, what we also are starting to do now is we do our own VOD, because there are sometimes I get people sending me an email saying, I'm interested in a topic of a Kachin person doing something which is an ethnic minority in Myanmar, because it's such a diverse country, and so then I can give the people what they want. And so basically I bring them to festivals, I try to bring them to TV, I bring them to universities. I also just have them in the internet, and that's what we are doing at the moment, that people can just pay €2 and watch the film or something like that. So this is basically what I'm doing. And then on the other side, this is the international side, but we also have a national side, like we make the films also for the country. So that means we want to distribute the films in Myanmar, and so what we do is we do a traveling cinema program, and so we really bring the films to rural areas where no one ever has seen a big screen or something like that, and then so the people there can watch the films too. So this is also how we go in Myanmar, distribute the films, also with NGOs together and with monasteries, with sometimes with town halls.
Yeah. May I? Yeah. Well, as I said, definitely, I mean, the only condition that we have is that we really like the film, and then that we believe in the film. And starting from that, you have a motivation to fight for the film, to defend its values, and of course to sell it. I mean, it's a common interest for producers and for us, for the film to make money. But I can see that we have quite a lot of challenging films, I mean, from the small catalog, meaning those are not necessarily easily sellable films. But they have some values that we believe in, and we try to find a way, you know. I think that's a very important thing if you decide to look for a distributor or a sales agent, is to match your expectations.
Been selected in Cannes, and of course only as you succeed, and you know, reality is crucial, and so really it's necessary to have the right perspective, what you want and where you are standing.
To be open about.
Yes, and it can't be anybody else's fault when a film is not selected. So I think everybody who is working with film is trying to do the best. So as a festival, of course, it's all about curatorship. What you said, I think that's very important, because we show films from directors who are maybe not that well known for a regular audience, maybe for festival people or film connoisseurs and buffs, yes, but maybe not for everyday cinema goers. So they have to trust your profile, your selection. You build up a conspiracy friendship with your audience. So from year to year, they know, okay, I don't know anybody who is in any film in this program, but I trust the curators that it will be interesting. And of course, then you are looking for, as we do for European topics, social political topics. We have special programs like Working World or Architecture and Society or Cinema Next Europe, so newcomers or whatever. So it's there are many subjects you are looking for, or genre movies from Europe, which is also not that popular in the European film production. So it's you have several tentacles you and you try to have a good mixture of everything. And I think every festival has another thing. So as you said, what you're looking for, every festival is looking for something else, you know. Maybe this is a LGBT festival, this festival will look for special topics, or a nature film festival, or adventure film festival, or a children film festival, or, I mean, there are so many niches, and of course there's a lot of overlapping, but everybody has other wishes or expectations.
You also mentioned, one of you, that maybe the filmmaker should start about the distribution as early as the idea is born, or when you start making this film. This is a very interesting notion for us. I mean, in the actual, just a brief history, in the old times, when there was only cinema and there was one broadcaster in Hungary, then the films, any film that got made had audience in the cinema. This has definitely changed a lot. Now a film, and actually probably then the filmmaker only started or never really had to think about the distribution of their film. What do you suggest any filmmaker about when to start working on their distribution, how to form their strategies, how to identify their audiences and ways of distribution?
Well, I think nowadays that funding will affect your distribution strategy a lot. Meaning, if you decide to maybe work with a broadcaster that could help you financially, of course they will take off some of your creative freedom, you know. Mm-hmm. So there's a price that you need to pay if you want to have some funds secured. On the other hand, if you want to make independent film and maybe try to find some other ways to secure the money, of course you have a bigger risk, but also your freedom ends entirely with you. So I think that's probably like the first step. And when's the time? I think it's never too early. I mean, like you should think what you want to do with the film, like who are the people who should see the film, and who are the people that you want to reach with the film, and how to reach those people. And basically, I mean, that's the way to recognize your audience. And I think that like targeting the audience, it's something that you should think of way ahead. It's before the film is released, you know. And I mean, there are different ways in different films, and of course that will shape, you know, the route that you want to take. But I mean, you don't need to do it by yourself. You know?
Yeah, it's really teamwork. I mean, it's not that director. You can't make a film alone. You need a team anyway, and it's always good to exchange ideas. I mean, it's not something you do in your own room or flat. This auteur cliché. So it's a teamwork. And I also would highly recommend, if there is a chance, to find a co-producer outside your country, no matter which country we are talking now, because it will help you to widen your market access, who is another country on board. You have partners abroad who have also networks, but to find a co-producer, you first need money from the country you are working. So first from the national funds or whatever, or television, and then it's easier to go with pitching forums or work in progress forums to find additional financing partners or post-production support or whatever. So it's all about networking again.
Exactly.
And you couldn't start. You know, it's mostly too late. You know, when a film is already out, then, for example, when we had a talk before with some directors, when a film is already traveling for a half year, I think for you it's not interesting any longer, because it's you want to be there in the beginning. I mean, there are exceptions, of course, but to develop together a festival strategy, a market strategy, it sounds very. Yeah, it sounds very awful actually. It's like industry, you know.
I mean, actually, it's something that we do together with filmmakers, because many of them, you know, have already built a network. And if you're like presenting a project even in development stage, and you go to different workshops, to pitching forums, you're already making people aware of the project, and that means a lot, you know.
Visibility.
Yes. Yeah. I think so too. That's a way to go. Since I'm also a filmmaker, besides doing the distribution, I have a story that went a bit different with a project of mine. Because you were talking about topics that are interesting, and when you pitch them, you haven't started yet. And I had a project in 2015. It was a refugee film project. And I told television that I'm doing it, and everybody was like, stay away with this topic. Everybody is working on this topic. We don't want it, because everybody is making a film about refugees in Germany. And so so we thought, okay, we don't speak to the television. And then we got funding, we got state funding, we got regional funding, and decided, okay, we will make the film. And it was a short film actually. It was it's actually part of a trilogy, and so it is a short film, and we were shooting it, I think, for 1.5 years or so. I mean, not all the time, but since it's documentary and the story developed, it took time. And then we finished the film, and it's actually 2 refugee stories. It's like from an old lady who was 91 years old and fled to Germany when she was young, and then a little Syrian boy who fled to the same town. And then basically we were in the editing room. We hadn't even finished it, and already received an award from a festival that wanted to show the film, a regional festival in Germany. And then the film got out, and then what happened was that that was a surprise for a short film, a small short film about a topic that 1,000 other people were making a film about. That actually there is a huge network in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland who are looking for not only films, also other products. that help basically help the democratic process in schools and use them for educational purpose. And so they bought the film, and so the film is going to come out in schools all over Germany and Austria and Switzerland, and there are at the moment people who are developing pedagogical kind of material, like they send it to us. It's like 50 pages or something of material that the schools then can work with the students, and it's of course a very different story, and it doesn't involve any TV or anything, but it's also a different kind of success that happened in a different way. So, yeah.
I have a lot of things you mentioned don't really exist here, and that's why I may ask you some things, but this educational use of documentaries seems to be also a model that can reach audiences and also generate some money. Can you talk a little bit more about this, of how a filmmaker can reach audiences and get money out of the films through educational art?
Definitely, I think it's a very important market. Maybe it's not that easy to access it. So educational market, it means basically mainly universities. Of course, high schools are there as well, but in our case, it's mainly universities, public libraries, museums, different NGOs, communities. So all those places that could show your film in educational purpose. And if we speak about Europe, for us it's still quite limited, meaning it will be a bit of Germany, mainly UK and North America. I would say that in US and Canada, and you have like a huge educational distributors, meaning big companies that only work educational market. And those are the people that are our partners in this case. So to go back to the beginning and the difference between the distributor and the sales agent, we will take educational rights, but we won't place the film by ourselves on educational market in US or Canada. We will resell the rights to educational distributor because they have a huge network to universities there, as I said, libraries, etc., etc. I mean, you can do it by yourself, but it's really something that you really need to have a good network, and it will take you a lot of time. I think more time than you have, you know, with the film. Even though for a film, you won't instantly offer it to educational distributor, usually, if you want to have a festival live first. So no, after like first this year and a half, let's say, so, or maybe after 1 year, you can start like looking for your partners in the educational market. And I mean, of course, you can sell the film by yourself to one university or to one library. And but you won't get some like significant income out of that, because the fees are if you are going to speak about the fees, you know, I mean, like for North America, like average is around $300, and it's usually for 1 up to 5 years. So it's like less than, or let's say, average festival screening fee, you know. And if you would do that by yourself, you can like do the maths, how many people you would need to target.
Yeah. In general, I'm just only skeptic, because there are some films that work really well on festivals or had a definite audience, actually need from broadcasters or deal from commissioning editors that they want to program this and this kind of films, and it's always easy to grab these films because they also have some kind of distribution, as you said, because it's financed by the broadcaster, so it's broadcasted. I'm always a bit more skeptic about films, the 100 films that make it to festival and make a really good festival circuit. What's outside of that? You know, how can a filmmaker with, for example, a shorter content, which is only suitable for some festivals, how can they reach their audience anyway? And probably you have more experience in that with student films and...
Yeah. I mean, I think if you are doing self-distribution, there are places like, I actually just recently saw a list for every country in the world. For example, there is in France you have the short film. It's called the Clermont-Ferrand, I think, short film festival, and I think they have a distribution branch. So I think there are some European institutions who are festivals but who are also distributors, and there are certain online platforms like the Short Film Depot, the Film Freeway, who are just on the internet and who also offer distribution in some cases. And we, for example, we also work, it's definitely true what you say about that it's more the North American market, the British market, where that works best for us as well. For example, in the United States, there is the DER, it's called, Documentary Educational Resources. They have films, for example, from our school and sell them, and they are really well connected. We have someone in Australia too, and then we have in England, we have the Royal Anthropological Society or Institute, yeah, and thanks, and they also are able to sell. But I think if you're doing it yourself, it helps to there is a website. It's called No Film School. And maybe you know it, and they have really good advice, and they just recently published a list on, like, if you are a filmmaker, you have a short film, and you don't have these connections to distributors, where you have a list of where you can bring your film, and tell them, hey, this is my film. What do you think? Where could it go? But I think in the end, if you don't go the way with having a distributor who is well connected, if you do it yourself, you just have to work quite a lot for it. You know, you just have to, build your own network, and
it is possible. I mean, not only for educational market.
Actually, I had a very critical Serbian filmmaker about the sales agent, and it was Mila Turaj, who also distributes her own films, but then she said because sales companies have a limited amount of staff and energy on each film, and she said they are a bit understaffed and a little bit overpaid for her purpose, but she made a film that won ITFA, and it's, that's why, for example, for me, her film is an exclusion, because if some film starts at the top, you can obviously go and collect the festival money and make connections to
yeah, of
to
course,
the
and I mean,
broadcasters.
she already had a lot of support to make the film, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She also had HBO on board, I mean, and
This
they
is a film
did
called The Other
distribution.
Side of
Yeah.
Everything.
So it's, yeah, but of course I think, of course it's possible. You can do the work yourself, but it will take you a lot of time. And for us, when we started, I mean, we already had a network, you know. I mean, when we started the company, and it's all about connections, and that's why we decided to work with very limited number of films, because I completely agree with Mila. You know, you just cannot handle like 30 films, you know.
I just as a personal experience, I was with one of my films, which was on running, used the help of a sales agent who has a huge catalog, and we didn't have a really bad experience with this, but because we were realistic how much the film can make, and actually we saved an awful lot of money on festival submissions, for example, direct connections to some places, but to be honest, we had to make the job ourselves as well to get together the best out of this. And yeah, and with the sales companies working with a big portfolio, they probably sign you and wait how well your film can make, and probably don't put as much energy into it as a smaller, more boutique company who definitely select the films.
I mean, it's all a matter of choice. Yeah, it's a matter of choice for a filmmaker as well, and for a producer, because you're not forced to place your film within a big catalog, you know.
Yeah. Two topics I want to touch before we open up for the audience, because we don't have too much time. And one is online distribution, or getting your films to your audience on virtual platforms. What's your opinion how a filmmaker or a film can find its wide audience online these days?
I might bring in the professional platforms like Festival Scope or Sinando. These are really good platforms for film professionals like festivals, but also for sales to put their lineup to be accessible for selectors, for TV people, for cinemas, for whoever, you know. This is a very good tool where they highlight special festival, award-winning films, but they have really a wide selection of films, documentary and fiction worldwide, and it works pretty well. And each right holder have the control who is seeing the films. It means when I watch a film, the right holder, mainly the world sales or the producer, sees, okay, Christine Dolhofer has seen my film on 22nd of October, but only 10 minutes. Means she doesn't like it. Okay, but having this on mind, I'm always very careful how long I watch films. But it's a very helpful tool. Also, Sinando, it's Festival Scope.
Festival Scope, yeah. Of course, I know it, yeah.
But it's also accessible for non-professionals. You have to pay a yearly fee, and you have to ask the right holders if you can watch the film. It's also very nice for press, for example, to catch up films they missed at festivals. There are a lot of national VOD platforms. In Austria, we have a platform which is organized by Atlas Cinemas. So they have all Austrian films. They were already released in cinemas, also online accessible. So you can also catch up as a normal audience for a very little money. You can watch films. There are so many platforms, so actually you also get lost. That's why I come back to what you said. It's very important that somebody is curating also platforms. That's why I like Festival Scope. It's curated, and I think this is the future for curated platform for special interests. And this is, I think, a big market. And for this market, you also need professionalized persons. And I think what is very important also in curating film festival that there is diversity, because what's happening, the same bunch of people is going to festivals, they are always sitting together, they have the same taste, of course, that you get a little bit independent of the mainstream curatorship opinion, you know. They're mainly white people from better backgrounds, so diversity is very important, gender equality. Also, for example, in film funds, it's really the criteria is also diversity and gender equality, not only in terms of directing, but also the whole film team, the main positions, DOP, editing, and so on. So I think this is something which will become more and more important in the next years. Yeah.
Maybe just to add that in spite of all this huge number of different platforms, and you already have specialized platforms in different content, I think that we all agree and believe that cinema will live and the film festivals will continue to exist as such, because no platform can replace this social context, in aspect to go to watch a film in cinema and share the experience. Even if you go to see it by yourself, you are still sharing the experience with other people in the room, and it's great to watch it in a bed, it's very comfy, but yeah, I think the other thing will stay with us as well.
I was actually very, coming to the cinema, I was very surprised to hear that in Austria fiction and documentary are on the same level for the number of films produced, and also probably because of that the number of documentaries reaching cinemas. I don't know how it's equality in the number of viewers as well, or documentaries being more and more popular, but...
It depends. I mean, it depends on the film. You can't say, but there are documentaries there like We Feed the World, for example. It was a blockbuster in Austrian cinema, and in comparison to some fiction films, they have, Austria has approximately 8 million inhabitants at the moment, so it's 10% of the German market, and in comparison, so in some fiction films have only 2,000 or 3,000 box office incomes, and others have 100,000. It really depends on the film. But that's true that documentaries still have a high reputation, but also it's becoming harder and harder. And the main topic is to do specialized promotion. I mean, you have to find a target group. If it's a film about ecology, then you try to address as a distributor or as a cinema owner and somebody who is promoting the films, you try to find your target groups and then work with them, and they can then communicate. Or to do special premieres and special collaborations with either newspapers or other media media institutions. I don't know. I mean, there are so many options, and of course, what's also very popular is to do school screenings. Screenings for school classes and educational work. So there are many ways to find your audience, but it's hard, and it's becoming harder because the attention it's so hard to get attention. In former times, everybody was writing about the same films. Everybody saw the same important films. Now you have the choice is incredible, and also the media, newspapers don't have the space any longer. Also, former times there were 5 people writing in the film department, and now it's only 1 person, and maybe this person is not even properly employed, it's a freelance person. So it's the importance of cinema and film is not so high anymore, any longer. That's my experience. And it's not so easy to get the attention a film deserves.
And is there a general thumbnail rule in terms of where you reach as a salesperson? So how you would find the audience online, TV or cinema? Like what's the ratio of how much in average you can reach the audience? Maybe you can reach millions online, or just the numbers or millions of TV. Where is the top now? Or where do you reach mostly these days your audience?
Well, you hardly reach a million. But I mean, it
I think a Netflix or HBO documentary does reach millions of viewers and different genres as well.
We don't know the figures, you know.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, of course, Netflix has these very successful films, but we don't know how many viewers really see documentaries then. So it's a hidden secret.
Don't they publish their numbers, Netflix?
No.
They don't? Okay.
Netflix tries very hard to keep that as a secret so that they have a bigger market share.
I mean, even if you put your films on Netflix, you will get some money, but like how many people will actually see your film? You know, there's no guarantee really.
Again, because it's not a curated program.
Yes.
You know? I think if you have
I just have to argue with this because Netflix does curate the programs for you in terms of your taste.
Yeah, but that never matches with my taste, for example. So it's I'm always surprised what they suggest me to watch. So what I would wish is to have, that would be a good business idea, to have a platform, best of festivals, you know, really festival highlights to make accessible worldwide, but you have to have the...
I don't want to be too big of a spokesperson for Netflix because I have no interest in this, but you can actually decide your taste, genre, just watch festival films on Netflix, you can research
there are so few festival films already. And mainly these are their own productions, you know.
Yeah, I just wanted to shift this topic. We're talking only about feature-length documentaries in cinemas and just switch to shorter, bigger forms, different platforms, but let's open the possibility of asking questions to the audience. If any of you I really... Oh, yeah.
Hello, I'm Bappi from Bangladesh. So I have a question for all of you. So do you take challenge as a distributor? For example, I made a film about Rohingya refugee in Bangladesh. So if I want to publish in Myanmar, maybe you like the film. So will you take the challenge to go to Myanmar and distribute the film? How do you see it that way?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you right away that it probably won't be possible to show the film in Myanmar, because even though apparently they have had a change of democratization in the country, there still is a censorship, and there is censorship, and they probably wouldn't accept the topic there, unfortunately. I mean, this is Myanmar.
I'm talking about everything, including Austria or somewhere in Germany. I mean, that means like if the film is very good, it doesn't matter. It is not political correct, so it is not political correct, so you will not take this film in a way. Like even the film is good, a good cinematography, good narrative, so it doesn't matter. Like,
You mean generally, or
in general also, like I'm asking everyone.
No, I mean, every film has different risks, but I think that, I mean, we are all minded that it's up to the film if we think that it deserves to be shown and that it's something that we would be proud to represent. I mean, I'm not sure if I understood the question. It's like, are there any doors open, or you think already that showing this story from your perspective, I mean, from like a Bangladesh filmmaker?
I have my own distribution. I'm going to show in Taiwan. So normally what happens, I have seen all over the world. Like I made a film about Bangladesh. I can't show in Bangladesh because the thing is for the, you know. So I'm lucky that you are here. So you are from the Myanmar. So that's why I'm asking, like, as a distributor, do you take this kind of challenge, or you just see like, okay, this is political correct or not? Okay, I can't go there, so I can't take this film. It's just a general question for everyone.
So, talking about Austria, I only can recommend you to apply at film festivals. For example, I mean, your film is also here in the program?
No. I just finished this film, so already I have a broadcast from Taiwan.
Yeah.
So, but I'm asking in general, not only my film, other subject also. Like normally, because it doesn't help in their film. Because Rohingya people are from Myanmar, they should watch this film first, then the rest of the world. So, but in a way, like, it's very difficult to get the distributor sometimes.
I think also in your case, you would need somebody who is representing your film worldwide in world sales, somebody who is knowing which festival or which distributor or which TV station could be interested in this topic. So I think for you it will be, of course, difficult to find the right person. So actually I also don't know with whom you should talk in Austria at Austrian television, who is in charge now to buy documentaries, but I know they buy films at markets, you know, they don't buy films with single context. They go to TV markets. There is MIPCOM in Cannes and other TV markets, and there are all the sales, and there they pitch their lineup, and there the TV people collect their program, you know. I think it's not working on this face-to-face market.
Yeah, but I think still, like, if you are in the position, you have your film, and you don't yet have the contacts, I think what you should do is you should have a nice electronic press kit of your film that explains what the film is about, maybe a trailer, and then you should apply to film festivals, film markets. And for Europe, it's ITFA, it's Doc Leipzig, it's many other festivals, maybe also Berlinale, I don't know.
If you find this kind of film, what you do? For example, I'm asking, because you work in Myanmar, no?
Yeah.
So if you find this kind of film, for example, I'm giving to Rohingya film and you like the film, so you will go to Myanmar and distribute. Will you take this kind of challenge?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you were here in the very beginning, but I'm working for the film school in Myanmar, and I'm mainly distributing the films that the students at the school make outside of Myanmar, and the whole distribution inside the country is a very different story, also of the films that our students make, because they have to go through a censorship board. And it's really difficult. There are almost no platforms for documentary films. There is one film festival in the country, now a second one, which is actually a human rights film festival, but it wasn't even allowed by the authority to call itself Human Rights Festival. So it's I think in Myanmar it is pretty difficult. But if you are interested, I mean, just if you're interested for me to give the film to people in Myanmar, I can of course do it. I mean, if you want me to give people a screener or something, and if there could be maybe a secret screening. I'm just saying, if because I have of course many friends, a lot of connections to many people in the country, and yeah, so maybe we can speak afterwards.
In the old days, you used to have festival films and TV films, and sales agents would only take TV films. My question now is that I've made a film, self-financed, knowing my niche audience, but I made it a 54-minute because I knew it wasn't really a festival film. And now I have a TV length film, and I was just wondering whether is there any still audience? Well, how to approach TV stations if you don't have a festival film, so you don't get the attention on the festivals automatically. Which is the best way to? Well, one is TV broadcasters, and the other one is which VOD platform to approach, which is the best one. It's by the way, it's about an orchestra. I wrote a movie about an Argentinian tango orchestra, a lot of music, that type of film.
Well, if you decided to make a TV film, then of course, I believe that you're like familiar with different broadcasters all over the world.
Well, they change all the time. I mean, their requirements change all the time. And just because I'm a filmmaker, I'm not a distributor, I'm a sales agent. I have had a sales agent in the past in Switzerland with a film. And originally it was a feature-length film. Then the sales agent insisted that I cut a TV version of it, which was really tough. And they sold to two different countries, you know, the TV-led version. But it doesn't mean that I'm familiar with selling and going to markets, because I wouldn't have time to make films if I was doing that.
Of course, I think that there are sales companies that mainly take films for TV sales or for a VOD market. But if you would like to try something by yourself, I think it's
not particularly.
Not particularly.
I want to shove it off to somebody who does it.
For a start, you should do your own research or different sales companies and see the profile of films they represent and try to recognize some of your film within their catalog. And based on that, you will get a clearer picture of maybe what they could do with your film. Or like try to track the film that has in a way similar topic or similar style that your film has, and like just to see what they what they did with something that is like close to your content.
Yeah, what about the VOD platform? Should I approach them directly or not? Or through everything going through a sales agent? Everything?
I don't think there's like yes or no. I mean, it's just a matter of choice. If you have time and if you're ready to invest, your energy and resources into that, just to discover the market and trying to find the best place for your film, then of course you can do it by yourself. I mean, but even for the sales agent, I mean, there is no guarantee, and I can go back to the expectations. I mean,
Well, I mean, again, we have to talk about the cost of a sales agent, because that's not for free either. So if you're talking about a small margin, by the time the sales agent takes a percentage, B their whatever the running costs, or there are different costings anyway. But sometimes there's nothing left for the filmmaker.
Okay, so I can speak for us. We acquire feature-length docs, and it's usually festival length. And we don't insist that you have a TV cut ready. because we invest a lot of time in working with festivals, because that's like the kind of film that we usually represent, and they start with festivals. But we leave that option open within a contract that if we have a broadcaster interested, that producer is obliged to produce the TV cut. So it's not necessary that you have it right away, because we know, it takes time, it takes money. So, and so far we've never worked with a film that is only a TV cut, and that puts a lot of limitations, and it's not something that we do simply. But I mean,
I have
about
made
the
DVDs.
percentages and the
Yeah, I asked about
costs,
percentage,
yes.
but I also have like DVD
yeah.
distribution, which is now obviously dead, but I didn't know it at the time. And
I mean, for us, you don't have like when we acquire the rights for the film. I mean, you need to provide the different formats that we need basically to be able to offer the film, and all this additional materials, but we don't take any money in advance. So basically, only money that we take is from the percentage that we earn.
what kind of percentage?
I think it's the standard rate with all the sales companies. Usually, already had really large audience thanks to the campaign. And after the premiere, it was kind of just like easy to keep up, with the group that already existed.
So I guess for the selection of a sales agent or distributor, you need to look at their successful marketing strategies. Would you agree? Like if they are, if you take on the film and you say like, oh yeah, I sell it, and you sell the film, but not many people watch it, I guess then it kind of defeats the purpose, right? So, would you say that the reputation of a sales agent in terms of their ability to market the film should also play a role when choosing a distributor, sales agent?
Yeah, I mean, you should take into account all those things, But even if you're a sales agent, or if you sell the film, I don't see how can you guarantee or estimate how many people will actually watch it. I mean, that's practically impossible. But if you want to make your film available, then again, yeah, it's a path that you should choose.
And maybe what I can add is I think, of course, you never know how big your audience will be. But I think it is definitely also a good thing to go to festivals. If you don't yet have a distributor, you don't have a sales agent, you just made a film and you're convinced it should be on festivals, then you should send it to festivals. If it wins an award at festivals, then sales agents might come to you and they will start being interested. I mean, it's also sometimes in that way that it works, that you can attract an audience, because then they will start screening it in other places, and I think that's also a way to go to get into the festivals, because I mean the festival is also a marketing strategy for your film, of course. I mean it's kind of like it's the first step, and then you take it from there.
Of course, if you have a good festival premiere, you already have a great visibility, secured. Mm-hmm. And people will pay attention to your film, the press will be interested, so that's like a lot of work done. Mm-hmm. But you also need a lot of work to get it there.
Yeah. And maybe we can add that it's of course also important that the national film institutions do promotion for the film. I mean, I don't know from which country you are. But most of the national film institutes are doing newsletters, Facebook ads, whatever to promote this and that film will premiere there. There is distribution on board, or there is already sales on board or not, or I mean, and of course you and your producer as well should go viral as much as possible, you know, and your friends promoting the, I don't know, finishing of the film or ready for the world outside and so on. But again, I think talking about expectations, I mean, sales distributors, they are no, how to say, miracle saints, not saints, but they can't make miracles happen. So they can only do what they can do, and sometimes a film is super successful, and sometimes even if you believe it can be successful,
no,
doesn't work,
absolutely,
you know?
absolutely. I mean,
Not
there is no
predictable,
guarantee,
yeah.
really, and surprises, good or bad, are happening all the time, really.
Maybe the topic was too late because at the same time, two films with the same topic were already selected in this festival, and so they don't want to have a third one on board. So there are so many obstacles, and you never can calculate it in advance. It's really
No, actually, you never know. I mean, but yeah, as I said, for us it's important that we believe in the film, you know. And of course, there are different types of films. For example, you have films that are just not made for a large audience, and they don't have that large, you know, festival run. But they have really good festivals, and they have. I didn't name the film, but I can. But yeah, or on the other hand, you can have a lot of festivals behind, you know.
Yeah, and I think what is also true is that it is easier if you have. It's easier to place a film if you had some sort of state or regional funding. It is easier than self-financed films. It's unfortunate in a way, but it's true that if you were financed in a certain region and there's a film festival, your film will definitely screen at the regional film festival, and you'll get exposure. Like it's how it works.
Yeah, or if it was developed at some workshops, you know, that also helps a lot.
They show it. Yeah.
Or even if you made already a film which got great response and is well known, so it will be easier for the second one because you have already something you can present. So I think it's
It's the chicken and egg problem, isn't it?
sorry?
The chicken and egg problem is you're already successful, then it's kind of
Yeah, so this also helpful.
But the reality is, and you may be able to correct me, if you go to big festivals, at least 50-60% of the spots are sold for political reasons. And maybe festival selectors wouldn't agree with them, but previous winners, films that were developed in that festival's development forum, they have a much higher chance to get selected than anyone coming from outside. But just I heard this one example of a film called Camera Person, which made really big sales. It's a first directorial work of a very famous female cameraman, and she made a film out of footage she didn't use in big films, and that was that was bought by a big sales agent called Cat and Dogs in France, and they struggled for a year and a half to do anything with these films, a couple of festivals, but not really any sales. And I heard that there was one article in a big US daily paper which talked about this film, and this film was picked up widely around the world after this and sold very well. So sometimes you never know, maybe one good article in one right magazine can sell your films. But in generally, you're competing with really strong films, with really strong producers, filmmakers on the market, and just as a newcomer with an interesting film, even that though the film is good, then realities are there. And just to go back to one thing, it's very fortunate when players on the market in a country work hand in hand, broadcasters, local distributors and salespeople, local festivals, they all generally work for promoting their own country's films, and in my ideal case that's what happens in Germany or Austria or Switzerland, right?
But the question is what if that's not the answer.
Yeah, I don't have a question now.
It's no question. It's a statement.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm asking Connie how much time we have.
If we don't have more questions, then yeah.
So thank you very much for coming. And we'll be here for a couple of minutes, so if you have any questions outside or not for the microphone. And thank you very much for sharing experiences and your knowledge with us, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you very much.